Hello, and thank you for joining this Adobe webinar, Adobe and Microsoft, Document Workflows to Grow and Energize Your Business. My name is Ian Peacock. I am a product marketing lead at Adobe in our Document Cloud division, which is the home of PDF, Adobe Acrobat, Acrobat Sign, and our array of APIs, SDKs, and low-code, no-code document solutions. Today, I'm joined by four great speakers. First, we'll welcome Janet Haas, SVP and Head of Forbes Insights, who will be sharing the findings of a recent study we partnered on. Then, I'll be joined in turn by three of my colleagues from Adobe. First, Tim Plummer, a Senior Manager for Digital Media Strategy, Jatin Sethi, Product Manager for Adobe Document Cloud, and Hina Naqvi, Group Product Manager for Adobe Document Cloud. Today, we'll be covering the world of productivity and workflows with digital document solutions. We'll begin by understanding this landscape a little better. Janet will take us through the insights from our recent study. Then, we'll look at how Adobe is innovating our products to address these challenges and opportunities in three key areas, i.e., individual productivity and collaboration within your organization, securing your organization's data to ensure compliance, and driving efficiency and experience improvements through automation, and specifically no-code automation that anyone can access. And with that, I want to welcome Janet and dive right in. Hey, Janet.
Hello.
It's great to see you. Would you mind introducing yourself and then just take it away?
Great. Thanks so much, Ian. Really appreciate the opportunity to join you today on this webinar. My name is Janet Haas, and I am the SVP and Head of Forbes Insights, which is Forbes' original thought leadership division. And we recently partnered with Adobe on this important report about advanced digital workflows. So I will say that this report is so timely with everything that we from Forbes see that's going on in the C-suite. We see that C-level executives are grappling with a lot. Obviously, we're in a time of incredible economic volatility. There's high inflation, concern about energy prices, and of course, the ongoing need to support employees and customers. So this report is extremely timely, and I'm here to share some of the great insights that we have. We know 78% of C-level executives that we surveyed feel optimistic about their future prospects as we head into 2023. But let me set the stage a little bit about what this report found about the market. As we know, paper-based workflows have been in decline for a while, based on increased digital transformation, greater digital literacy, and the need to work faster. But the pandemic definitely accelerated this. We find that about half of the 602 business and technology executives that we surveyed in the report say that the pandemic accelerated their adoption of digital workflow. And there's a lot of benefits. I'm going to talk about those today and share those highlights. But what's surprising about some of the data from this report is that half of the CIOs surveyed said that their implementation of document workflows is either incomplete or it's not at a level that they are happy with.
That's fascinating, Janet. And what are the reasons that are holding these companies back from implementing these solutions?
That's a great question, Ian. And it really comes down to two main factors that we found in our report. First of all is time, which there is time required to set strategy, to train, and develop personnel around the reasons for making the change to digital document workflow, but it's also operational constraints. And basically, a lot of that comes down to legacy systems. It was interesting to see in the data that 51% of CIOs said that legacy systems have a negative drain on productivity and on employee morale, which is a big problem. And we see that departments that are particularly impacted are finance and accounting. But when we look forward to the business benefits that are available to companies that really embrace advanced document workflows, there are many. It improved collaboration, the ability to unearth new revenue and business opportunities, as well as employee retention, recruitment, and overall satisfaction. And in our study, we have, like I said, about half of the respondents said that they are incomplete with their digital workflow optimization, but the other half say that they have advanced solutions and are leading across the company. So we have a really incredible perspective for the data. When I looked at the data, when I saw this report, there's so many good data points here, but one of them that I was particularly struck by was the impact on employee experience. We see that employee experience and process are the number one things that CXOs are prioritizing as they head into 23. And this type of technology does just that. We see that when there's the ability for business executives to eliminate repetitive tasks, such as data entry, to streamline collaboration, to be able to offer more collaboration across the enterprise. Of course, there's an immediate impact on employee morale. And in fact, CIOs report it's 63%. So that's a big number. That's very much in line with key business goals for executives today, and very important. Of course, engaged employees also lead to a greater efficiency, be able to collaborate more quickly. One thing we talk a lot about at Forbes is about ecosystems. And of course, companies don't stand on their own. They have clients, they have partners, they have suppliers. And if we look at the next data point that really struck me, it has to do with the customer experience as being one of the main reasons for onboarding this type of technology. In fact, we see that nearly 2/3 of CIOs report being able to offer advanced digital workflows with customers, to work with customers at the pace of customers, is one of the core reasons that they're implementing these types of digital solutions. Incredibly powerful. And again, I think it goes back to the economic environment that we find ourselves in. This is just another data point that I thought was incredibly powerful and supportive of digital and advanced workflow. The next one is very interesting. It talks about the important returns that you get on workflow innovation. So you've got your customers engaged, employees are engaged, and then you have the ability to look at your data holistically across the organization in ways that CIOs and business leaders were never able to before, especially with legacy or fragmented systems. So they're able to look at where teams are collaborating and where the areas of innovation are, perhaps in one part of the organization that can then be learned and optimized and deployed to other parts of the organization, which will naturally unlock more business opportunities and more revenue opportunities that would not have been seen with different types of systems for management. And I think that's especially true when AI is deployed. Because that technology is going to offer that insight in real time that's going to lead to business advantage. And I will say with the research that we're seeing, there could not be a better time to implement this type of technology as we head into 23. And then lastly, I'll say, and I think this is really important, we know that cybersecurity is a top concern for not only CIOs, but across the C-suite. We see that in our Forbes research. And this is yet another advantage that I think really comes out in the report is data security. So when the system is managed centrally, CIOs have the ability to control access. They're able to have all of the documents managed and stored in the right way, and they're able to further comply with compliance rules and regulations, which are going to be so important for business next year as well. So I think it's an absolute win and put together between customer, employee, and then the ability to have far greater insights into your data. Those are the themes that really stood out in the research to me, and I think that they're really important.
That's great, Janet. You covered a lot of surface area there of what the report speaks to in terms of the importance to the C-suite around these digital document processes. I heard these big themes around employee engagement, the employee experience, and how that leads into the customer experience, the use of tools and technologies like intelligence or automation of repetitive tasks, and what that can drive in terms of economic value to the organization. And then just that important close on the space of digital security and driving compliance. So where could I learn more?
There's so much of the report, and I really encourage everyone to download it. There's many, many case studies. There's more Forbes Insights research and additional perspective about the benefits that organizations will immediately feel with the deployment of advanced digital workflows and some of the benefits that they're leaving on the table if they don't choose to move forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Janet. We appreciate you taking us through all the findings of this report.
Thank you, Ian.
Okay, so we got a lot of great insights from the report and from Janet there. Now we're going to segue into the second half of this webinar. We're going to be looking at how some of these themes come to life in Adobe and Microsoft solutions. Now, at the start of the webinar, I talked about these three themes around collaboration, around security, and around automation. And now we're going to show you how that shows up in some of these Adobe and Microsoft products. And we're going to start off with Tim Plummer, who's going to share with us Adobe Acrobat in Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. First off, if you install Acrobat DC or Document Cloud after you have Teams installed, you might not actually see the integrations right away. What you'll need to do is click on the little dots here. You might even need to type in the word Acrobat so you can see it, and then you can choose them. Now, what I've done is chosen them, and I've pinned them so that they're here all the time. It's that useful to me, and I use them frequently. And there are a variety of things that you can do, tools that you can use, etc. So for example, you might want to compress a PDF or organize pages. In fact, if you want to see more, click on All Tools, and you'll see that there's quite a robust set of tools from Acrobat inside Teams that you could take advantage of. Now, I'm going to go back home. What I want to do is I'm working with a customer, and I've got a document that I want them to receive regarding a sale that we're working on. It's a set of materials and such that are for selling. And so I'm going to go ahead and select Combine Files, because right now they live as individual PDF files, or in some cases, they're not even PDFs yet. I have a team set up for this. It's actually a channel in a team set up for Altera, and this is a particular project. I'm going to go ahead into the sales material folder that we've set up in Teams, and you can see that I have a variety of files here. So what I want to do is just select the 4 that I'm interested in combining. And I don't want this one. And continue. Acrobat is just using its technology in the background, and it's going to go ahead, combine the files, create little previews for me that I'm going to use to better manage this overall project. In fact, if they're not already in PDF form, it'll go ahead and convert them to PDF and then offer them to me for combination. And there. Now, Acrobat is showing me the files that it's going to combine. But before I do, I really want to mix it up a little bit. What I'm going to do here is take some things out of order. First, I'll open this file. This is a presentation, and it's got a nice opener slide. So I'm going to grab it and just drag it to the beginning of the overall document. And here we go. And now this file will be in front of these 3 pages of a file, and which I should say started out as a Word file. The one last mix that I want to create is to grab this image on this page. I know there's some text on the page about wearing a mask, and we should provide the image as the mask. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that image right in there. Now there's a picture of the mask in the document right after the document refers to the mask. At this point, I've got a document that's ready to go. So really all I need to do is simply hit Combine. Acrobat, again, behind the scenes, it'll do the conversion, it will pull everything together, and it will create a combined file that is exactly what I need. What's really nice about this integration is that because I pulled from Teams in the first place, this combination is now sitting in the folder in the team channel. And because the people that I'm working with all have access to that folder, both inside and outside of my company, it's just there for them. I don't have to remember to send it to anybody or email it or whatever. It's there and available to them. Now, if I want to do all that and I want to send it out whatever I could just download the file, but really I don't need to. And again, that's just the value of the integration. So what I want to do is just go ahead and let my customer have access to it. Basically, what I've done is saved myself the process of collecting a bunch of files, first converting them to PDF, opening them in Acrobat, combining them together, mixing the pages, which I can do in Acrobat. I was able to do all that in one step right here in real time while working with the customer. And the mere fact that I did it now means that it's ready to go. If I come back over here to my Teams and go into my Teams Altura project, you can see that in the sales material, there's a new file there. You can also see that I've done this a couple of times before, but the new file, the employee form combined, is right here and ready to go. And if I want to rename it using Teams, I can, or I can actually just set it to share so that even if a person doesn't necessarily have access to Teams, I can send them a link that will get them access to that file directly. That's what I love about the Acrobat integration with Teams. And I have to tell you, it's just one example of the many, many ways that Acrobat inside Teams is allowing me to take full advantage of both Adobe's Acrobat technology and Microsoft Teams technology. So let's take a look at something else that I might want to do though. In this case, it's gather a signature. Adobe Acrobat Sign is also integrated with Teams very nicely. When I choose it, I've got the capabilities of Acrobat Sign available to me. I would normally see this, in a browser if I were using Acrobat Sign outside of Teams, but I want the send for signature capabilities right here. So in this case, I just want to request a signature, and there's all kinds of information here, but I just want to select request signatures to kick off this process for the purpose of this demo. Now, the first thing that I need to know is the email address of the person I want to send to. And I've already done this before, so you'll see when I type it in, it remembers it. That's actually very nice. If it were a multi-signature document, I could enter a number of different recipients. This one's not, so I'll just go ahead and leave it. We'll give the agreement a name. We'll just call this employment agreement because that's what I'm doing with this. And I'm actually going to put this employment agreement in front of a potential employee right now in Teams, and I really want to capture them while their interest is high. We've had a great conversation, and we're ready to go, so let's go ahead and capture the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to take some steps with the file, though. For example, I want to set a completion deadline, and we'll set that deadline right here for November 10th. It'll give them just a little over a week. I'm also going to set a reminder to remind them so that, every week until they sign it, or I could say every day, they'll get a reminder so that we don't lose that momentum, or at least they don't forget to sign it. And actually, this person's really kind of hot to trot, so I'll go ahead and set it to every day and we'll capture them. I'm going to leave everything else alone, except now I need to actually add an agreement to the mix. In this case here, I've got an agreement that's standing by. It's a new agreement that I haven't used before, so I'll just click it, drag it over here, and I'm almost ready to go, except that I need to preview and add the fields to the document because although I could have built that in previously using Acrobat and some of the tools there, this just is a PDF that's some plain Jane and there's nothing in it. Sign lets me take care of that right here. So I'll choose Preview and add signature fields and select Next. It's going to process the document, load it into the Sign server, and start getting it ready for me to send to my recipient. Though what I need to do now, if I scroll through this, I can look and see that there are 5 areas into which I want someone to type information. So all I'm going to do is click Add Fields. This agreement is made on what date? So I'll go ahead and use the signature info field date. Drag that over here. And Acrobat Sign will actually make it the right size to fit the area that I want it to be in. That's a little bit of the Adobe Sensei AI magic at play. Now I want to add, not a signature field, we'll go back. What I want to do is add a name because I want them to put their name in there. So I'll add the name field. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to do the exact same thing down here. I'm asking for that same information twice, no problem. There's the printed name, so we'll grab that. We'll grab the date again, pop that in. And we'll actually resize it a little bit to make sure it fits. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead to the signature field. And I just want to add a standard signature field right there. This document is ready to go. And one of my favorite things about this whole process is, while I'm talking or working with this on a particular employee, I've got 5 more interviews to do. And I really anticipate that I want to bring them on. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as a template. And I'm actually not going to do it for this demonstration, but yeah, I could. And What that means is that I can just repeat this process over and over again using the template and sending it out, as opposed to even having to go through this process that I've just shown you. In fact, I could do it all at once, sending out to multiple recipients at the same time. And as I'm working through this, it takes me 0 time to send this agreement out, to click send. In other words, I've got employees that are potential employees that are hot to trot. I'm capturing them right here, right now. What's happening in Sign is it's making the file, setting it up, and sending it out to that email address that I typed in. And it's now in their inbox. So to show you what that's like, I'm going to kind of change personas and take the role of the employee. And I'll jump over to Google Chrome, which is where I have my email. And you can see that I've received an email that has an agreement. And if I click it, it's a request for a signature. And it's an employment agreement. And all I need to do is, and I need no other technology to do this than an email client or a browser. I'm going to go ahead and review and sign. I'll open in a window. It's telling me all the places that I need to sign. And that's interesting that Tim Carpenter and the date are in there. And that's because I've worked with them before. And so Adobe Sign recognizes them as someone that I know. And so it actually, because it recognized that, was able to fill in the information for them to get started. Of course, they can change it if they need to. It's also picked up the date of the agreement. And so if I were to scroll down, you can see that it picked up the date, it got the name, and it duplicated that information down here, which is great because you don't have to do it twice. The final step that I need to do is click here to sign. And you can see that because this person has signed before, it remembers that. Now, I'm going to click the edit signature just to show you how easy this process is. It knows my name, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick that up. But I want to draw my signature so it looks like a real signature. I'm a very, very bad drawer, but there you go. That's my signature. Click apply. And I can even type in here, I agree. I don't have to do that. That's optional, but it's just a way to indicate why I'm signing the signature in case it was unclear. And then finally click OK. Now, there's one last step, and that is that I filled it all out. But at this moment, when I click this, I'm now agreeing to the terms and conditions of this agreement. It'll process the document, send it back to Teams, and in a moment, you'll see Teams pop up with a notification. So let's go back over to Teams and take a look at what we have. First off, it's been successfully set for signature. Okay, that's good. I click over here on the activity and I can see that it's been signed. So I'll just go ahead and click here. And it brings me to the Manage component of Sign within Teams. And if I look, the document has been signed. And I can do a variety of things here to manage the document if I need to, including I can download it. I can download an audit report to see when it was signed, etc. And if there's data in the form field, such as the name and the date, I can actually download that and use it in some other system if that's what I need to do. In fact, if I close this up, I can look at managing all of the agreements that I'm working through with Sign. For example, this is an agreement that was sent to me that I haven't yet signed. If I click on completed, here's Tim Carpenter's completed form, which again, I can open, or I can, download it and take a look at some of the other ways that I can manage it. But what I might want to do is just click here to add some notes. Tim was very interested in the job. He seemed very excited. He can only start through, 2 weeks from today. Now in Teams, connected to the document that I've had someone sign is information that allows the next person or the person I'm working with internally to, understand something about the document that I might want to share. In this case, the HR department needs to understand that Tim Carpenter is very excited and maybe they should expedite the process of onboarding him. This isn't a comprehensive list of things you can do, but it's kind of getting to the point of what the integration can do for you. If you want to learn more about this, we've got some really helpful tutorials built right into this experience that you can use to go ahead and learn more. What I've hoped to show you is that with these two integrations, if you're a Teams user, and I really like Teams, and I can say that I would recommend it actually, you can save yourself time and effort by working directly in a Teams experience, even during a meeting while people are live on board. Get them the documents that you want them to have them just automatically be in the place that they can get at them. No more sending things by email and wondering if they got there. It's right there available for them. It's these integration in Teams that save me, as someone who uses Teams and PDF frequently, a ton of time by not having to jump into a separate applications, not having to look for things and find them in folders, not having to collect a bunch of files into a folder so I can refine them before I can begin to work with them. These are the things that are small drags on my business, but they add up to an enormous waste of time where I can avoid all of that by leveraging the integrations here between Teams and Adobe Acrobat.
Okay, thanks, Tim. It really shows how bringing all of that capability of Acrobat right into Teams is making individuals more productive, getting work done right where they're collaborating. Now we're going to shift to our second theme, security. And I'm going to bring in Jatin to give us a small snapshot about how we're enabling organizations to protect their data and keep their PDFs secure. Jatin.
So glad to be here, Ian. Let's jump in and show you how one can protect PDFs by adding, editing, customizing, and deleting Microsoft sensitivity labels directly via Adobe Acrobat's desktop version. To demonstrate this capability, I will use the example of how Adobe Technologies uses non-disclosure agreement to license its IP to a partner. Jenny, the compliance officer in Adobe's legal and compliance team, is tasked with ensuring that the confidential document is secure. Within Adobe Acrobat, Microsoft Purview Information Protection is accessible within the Protect tool. Jenny received a signed NDA from a new partner, Kira Labs, and to protect it, she applies a sensitivity label using the Select a Microsoft Sensitivity Label action in Acrobat. The Sensitivity Label dialog box displays a list of labels already configured in the Microsoft Purview Compliance portal. Hence, it is consistent across the Office apps and Acrobat. In addition to access controls, each sensitivity label can include headers, footers, and watermarks to visually indicate the applied label. In this scenario, she selects and applies the confidential research and development sensitivity label. As we can see, this label adds pre-configured protection to the document and applies visual markings in the form of a header, a watermark, and a footer to the document pages. She now has appropriate access settings applied to the NDA and can share them with Adobe Technologies R&D department. Now, Jenny can update the sensitivity label as well, for which she selects the Update Label action in Acrobat. The list of available labels is shown to her. Here, she can choose one of the predefined permission labels or even add custom permissions for a few trusted people. This takes us to the user-defined permissions experience, where users, groups, or domains can be added, each with their own access rights. Within more options, she can set an expiration date for the PDF file or additional access rights such as copying or printing the file. Once she is done adding the users and bespoke permissions, she selects Save. And the document is now classified and protected with the new sensitivity label. Moreover, Acrobat honors sensitivity label policies like default labeling and mandatory labeling to provide comprehensive information protection labeling support in a native manner. Lastly, the information protection plugin is bundled with the installer and does not require a separate installation. Through these labels, Adobe helps you mitigate risk by protecting sensitive data stored in PDFs. With the increasing need for security for digital assets, we see this as a game-changing and fundamental feature. Thank you so much, Ian, for having me here to show everyone this feature. Back to you.
Thanks, Jatin. That's such a great innovation in how we can enable organizations to drive security and compliance around their PDF documents. And now we're going to shift into our third theme around automation. And I'm going to bring in Hannah to show us how we're bringing Microsoft Power Automate right within Acrobat Sign to enable no-code automation of your e-signature transactions. Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. Hey everyone, I'm Hina, and I'm excited to showcase how you can get more with your Acrobat license. You can now access a large set of automation workflows through Power Automate's established ecosystem of standard and premium connectors. As Power Automate entitlements are now available to every Acrobat Sign licensee, you can enable this feature through the Create Workflow tab. Let's dive into how employees at Prime Manufacturing, a large manufacturing company, use this feature. Kate works in the legal department and relies heavily on paperwork, such as drafting contracts or approving agreements. She often has to follow up with signatories multiple times and finally scan and upload the documents into the system. With Acrobat Sign and a few clicks, Kate can create a reusable workflow using one of the archival hero templates that have been added to the Power Automate library. There are many templates available to Kate, and we will be continually adding more in the future. This workflow would automatically store all signed documents as PDFs to her SharePoint site. Now, let's look at how Rahul creates flows from scratch. Rahul is on the procurement team at Prime Manufacturing. He is looking to efficiently generate customized purchase orders. Rahul not only wants to include specific approvers, but also wants to add notes and disclaimers in the document. Depending on the product SKUs, he can automate this and save time using Power Automate. And here, he can create his own customized workflow by starting from scratch and setting up a workflow that dynamically selects the right templates and approvers based on a product SKU and sends it out for signature. Rahul can then share this flow with other members of his team using this Run As section as shown here. Jada is on the business development team at Prime Manufacturing. The team continually meets with prospects, which involves customer information, approvals, and signatures. Here she can create a workflow using our inbuilt templates to dynamically generate a contract based on custom inputs, sent for signature, and be notified on Teams when it's signed. She then shares this workflow with Carlos from her team. Carlos can then execute this workflow. So let's assume Carlos chooses a workflow which can be triggered manually from the Sign UI. He will then be redirected to this embedded workflow execution page where he can enter the necessary inputs. On execution, he is redirected to a post-send page where he can view the progress or initiate other workflows. Okay, that is it. What I love about this is that this is all about automating your day-to-day workflows. This is almost a must as our work has moved across time zones and continents without missing a beat. All right, back to you, Ian.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. This brings us close to the end of this webinar. So I want to wrap things up with some takeaway guidance for what you can do today and what to look out for. First of all, Tim showed us what we can do today with Acrobat in Teams. We have two apps, Acrobat for Teams and Acrobat Sign for Teams for e-signature. Both are available today and easily discoverable right within the Teams App Store or on Microsoft App Stores. Then Jatin showed us how we can secure PDFs in Acrobat with Microsoft Purview information protection labels. This is also available today in Acrobat Desktop app for users of Acrobat Pro. You or your organization's Acrobat admin simply can turn this on in the admin console. And Hannah showed us how a user can automate their e-signature workflows from directly within Acrobat Sign. You can do this today within Microsoft Power Automate, and soon we'll be bringing that directly within Acrobat Sign, as Hannah showed us. And this brings me to what to look for next. We're excited that we're going to be making it even easier to bring all of that power of Acrobat to all of your users of Microsoft Teams. By working with Microsoft, we're enabling organizations to turn this on as default. So every user will open up their PDF in Acrobat and have all of the ability to edit, annotate, and more. Also, we're excited to open up 2 new preview programs for this upcoming functionality. First, the program to enable you to try Power Automate directly within Acrobat Sign, as Hannah demonstrated. And then a whole new feature that we're calling Live Sign in Acrobat Sign for Teams, enabling you to handle an e-signature transaction directly within a video conference. If you'd like to download the Forbes Insight Report, you can click the link here in the helpful resources, along with other assets about some of the products that we covered today. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to each of our speakers today. Janet.
Bye.
Tim.
Thanks for having me. It's always my pleasure.
Jatin.
Thanks, anytime.
And Hannah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.